Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order, 6 PM, Abington Planning Board. We've got something before the 6:05. Could we do the minutes?
If you want to do the Form A
Let's
first.
do the Form A first. Yeah, Form A.
Is anybody here for 0 Summer Street? There you are. Hello.
Hello.
You can just give the board your name and explain what you're doing.
Happy to do it. Good evening. For the record, Phil Cordero from Allen and Major Associates representing the applicant. We worked with the applicant through the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Alta Abington Station, a 40B multifamily project that was approved last year. The plan that's in front of you, excuse me, under the A&R, is to consolidate those lots back into their original form together, representative of the singular project that we're doing now. So each of the lots consolidates. Monahan Crossing, as it's called today, would go away. It would be extinguished. But the roadway will continue in its existence. There is an easement that will continue to grant rights for anybody coming from Summer Street to go to the MBTA.
When you say go away, just changing names,
It will not be named,
Oh.
so it will lack a name.
it'll be a road that we shall not name.
It will essentially be a driveway, a driveway into Alta Abington Station.
Has this been run by the MBTA?
So we have an agreement, the owners have an agreement with the MBTA that so long as access is maintained in the form that it is today, it's acceptable to them.
Is that something that we need to have on record? I mean, I'd hate to say we're gonna make a road go away that's then used by the MBTA to access their station.
So if I may, just to be clear, the right-of-way is being eliminated, the pavement, the curbings, that all stays, that's actually being improved upon. So there's no functional changes to the land. This is
Right,
just a.
But I'm talking about legal access to the land.
That's correct. So the plan
I think
depicts.
it's all private, right? The MBTA is private, that's their property. This is private, that's their property.
No, who owns Monahan, the land that Monahan Crossing is on?
Right now, John Iredale does.
Right. So there's some sort of agreement that allows MBTA lot traffic to go over that
Right, but
land.
that's a private agreement.
It's
Right.
through private easement, and
Right.
this plan continues to depict that private easement.
Okay.
Yes.
So then what's going away?
The right of way. So right now, if you were coming in off of Summer Street, there was one lot to the right, one lot to the left, and then a right of way around Monahan Crossing. Those are all being consolidated and will be one single parcel now.
Okay. No offense, I believe in trusting but verifying. I would not feel comfortable doing this without seeing something that, we're not all of a sudden gonna wake up one day and find out that access has been blocked off for some reason. This is used every day by 100, 200 cars to go across to access a train station.
You can't put anything permanent in an easement, so it's gotta remain.
If I may also, so again, the project is subject to the comprehensive permit that was issued by the Zoning Board of Appeals. So again, that right of access is maintained through that permit issued by that board.
Does it say that somewhere on this plan?
There's a note, forgive me, in that notes 6 and 7 are the references to the comprehensive permit. Note 6. Per the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Housing Appeal Committee's decision on stipulation and entry of judgment and so forth, that's the legal reference to the comprehensive permit, sir.
The right-of-way known as Monahan Crossing is to be extinguished, and the easement shown here as parcel P2A is to remain in effect
Correct.
to the benefit of the MBTA.
Okay.
Correct.
So the right-of-way will continue.
The access will continue,
Yes.
the easement continues, but the term right-of-way will not. Right-of-way is defined under the definitive subdivision regulations.
Point is that people will still be able to access the train station via this road.
That is 100% correct.
That's what I meant to put in English. I'm sorry.
It's just an easement now.
It is just an easement now, but
But
again,
it's gonna continue.
the physical pavement, the physical access all stays.
I'll make the motion that approval not required.
Off the top of my head, I don't recall. What's the frontage requirement for a Form A?
I can't hear you.
What's the frontage requirement for a Form A?
There's no frontage requirement, because you're either putting land together or splitting it apart, and if they were splitting it apart for a buildable lot, they would need frontage or it wouldn't conform to zoning, and then they would have to go to the zoning board of appeals. But for the purposes of the planning board, you're either putting lots together or splitting them
Right.
apart.
Hence the approval not required.
Yeah, that's why there's no approval required through a subdivision process.
But if I could, the frontage would be 50 feet. It's on the table at the bottom of the plan, right there in the middle, to your left, sir. There you go. To that gentleman's right, to the right. There's the table. Anyways, it's 50 feet. There you go. So it's 50 feet, but again, to your member's point, we are consolidating it. We have legal frontage that remains on Summer Street.
Is there an expiration date to the easement, or is it in perpetuity?
I do not believe there's an expiration date to it.
All
No,
right.
sir. But I don't have that exact information, but I do not believe it extinguishes, but obviously it can sunset without approval of MBTA as well, to
Well,
protect your interests.
I guess my point is that I fully believe in a situation where the MBTA could let it sunset and just not tell the town. So I want to make sure that we would be made aware if there was ever a change in the agreement, because it would impact our land use strategies too. So
Understood.
Do you know what it says in the 40B decision
Regarding,
regarding that easement?
not with particularity to repeat tonight, no.
So I was gonna say, if it's in their decision letter, then it has to remain.
It does have to remain, the easement is noted. The plans that were approved by the zoning board fully depict that roadway remaining. So all of the belt and suspenders that I think that the board are looking for are in place, though I don't know the particular language that you're asking for.
So, not that it matters, but why?
I'm sorry?
Not that it matters, but why?
Just because of the nature of a multifamily 40B project, to not have a right-of-way down the middle of the project.
Any other questions on this, guys? Bob has made a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made, seconded. All those in favor?
no,
No.
So that's 4-1.
Thank you. Forgive me, I don't know the board's particular process. Should I coordinate with you after, like tomorrow for the Mylar? Should I wait? Whatever the board desires.
Do you guys wanna sign these now, or do you wanna wait?
Let's wait.
All right, so, do you wanna pick it up tomorrow? They'll sign it tonight?
That's fine. We
Is
can
that all right?
coordinate with you later. Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, 6:05.
Do you wanna jump right to 207 Bedford
Let's
Street?
go right into 207 Bedford Street. Do we have a representative here?
Somebody here from 207 Bedford Street? Oh, interesting.
Okay, well, that's something we requested.
Yes, we did.
Okay. A little background before we begin the discussion. We got a letter from Norwood Engineering dated May 28th, 2024. This is from Dave Johnson, our consultant. And he reviewed the revisions to the proposed subdivision site plan submission prepared by Cypress Design. The plan has been revised to reduce the number of proposed units from the previously proposed 8 units in 2 buildings to 5 units in 1 building. A 2-way driveway has been added on from West Chapel Street in addition to the 1-way drive from Bedford Street. Lots of comments. I'm not going to read all of them. Proposed layout, location of signs needs to be provided on each street. ADA ramps need to be provided on the sidewalk crossing. Stormwater, as our opinion that one catch basin is not adequate for the site. Construction details, specifications, and detail needs provided for the pervious block patios, grading and erosion control, proposed grades of the patio need to be provided, utilities. Proposed size of the proposed water line needs to be confirmed. Landscaping and lighting needs. The recommendation is that the plan is not ready for action by the planning board at this time. And Mr. Johnson's not here tonight, but since we did need him to be here, he decided not to come. Now, Ms. Shea, the advocate, the proponent said that he wants to delay this or postpone this.
He emailed me and he wanted to fill out a paper request for a continuance, and I explained to him he needed to attend the meeting to do that.
And he's not here.
This is about 120 hours short of being done. There's just existing conditions in a building, a pretty little lot. He really is missing a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm just
it's just a lot.
repeating to you that he asked to submit a letter to continue, and
But he
I
did,
told him he needed to attend.
but he did.
So
He
it-
didn't, and I mean, I knew because some of the neighbors were gonna be here, that
Could I see the letter? I didn't get a copy of it, so.
Yeah, please.
a Norwood Engineering letter?
Did you get
Oh.
this right?
I get my mail like 2 days after everybody else.
I didn't.
He lives in a tree.
Hmm?
He lives in a tree.
He lives in a tree.
So where are we at timeframe wise for continuance? Does it need to be denied? Do we, I mean, if we didn't, technically
So
didn't request a
we're,
continuance.
you guys aren't issuing a special permit on anything, so there's not a real time frame attached to the site plan. And every time there's a continuance, I just write an email or a letter and send it downstairs so it's on file with the clerk's office. And that's as far as that time frame goes. I guess it's up to you guys. And I will also add that apparently that lot is for sale.
I just, and we've been in this situation before where we just keep kicking the can down the road.
Yeah,
That's where they
I
get the
agree.
approval, so.
Obviously, the attempt of being ready for tonight was lacking,
very.
to say the least.
Who's his attorney?
Mr. Phelan from Quincy,
Right, so he
Attorney Phelan
he knows the
from
rules
Quincy.
pretty well.
And he's not here either.
No, I mean, I'm not sure that I CC'd Attorney Phelan on that email because I figure that's up to the applicant as to whether he wants to spend the money to have his attorney come down or not. Right, that's not up to me to make that decision.
Mhm.
So I just emailed him, and if he wanted to let his engineer know, his designer know, his attorney know, that's up to him.
I mean, my personal judgment is 5 units is still a lot for this site. I mean, and he hasn't, yeah, I'm not gonna, it's not prepared properly. I think 5 units is too much for the site and the plan isn't prepared properly. And he's not here tonight and his attorney isn't here tonight. So, any other thoughts by the board?
About the plan or the decision to what to do?
Yeah, why don't you complete that thought?
Well,
I don't have any opinion on it either way right now.
Hmm.
I wanted to hear actually from the neighbors when they got a chance to look at it. Can I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
please.
Has anybody been contacted by the developer? You have been?
We had a meeting with him and his lawyer at the site.
Why don't we do
in
this?
And ma'am, could you come up and identify yourself, please?
I'm just glad to hear a response, okay. So
Yeah.
that makes me feel a little better about it. Go ahead.
My name is Carolyn Belvis, I live at 112 Everett Street. So the lawyer and the applicant decided to try and meet with the neighbors. Sometime in March, we met out at the site on the street. and we talked for about 45 minutes. We gave him a whole list of our concerns. They didn't address, the only thing they addressed was they made the driveway a little bit wider from the original plans that we saw. But we still have a lot of concerns. I can show you we printed out a list and handed it to the lawyer so he could have our concerns written down, kind of consolidated. I can show you guys what we gave him. But we gave our concerns, he didn't seem to care. You know, I said to him, I said, you know, we just want you to work with us. Like, the board doesn't have to let you do this. And he said, well, we'll just sue them and they'll let us do it. And I'm like, well, it doesn't really work that way, but sure.
He
doesn't
meaning
work
the
that
owner
way.
or the attorney?
The attorney told me that,
sounds
yeah.
about right.
It doesn't work that way.
No, well, it's a special permit. You don't have to let him do anything than what the land is used for.
Yeah.
So they just don't seem willing. He did, the owner did admit, you know, we said, what happens if you get denied with this latest plan? And he said, well, then I'm just gonna do whatever you guys will let me do so I can be done with this. So I don't know where he's at with that, but that was the basis of our conversation at the site with them in March. And we haven't heard anything since.
So this is in March, and this is June now.
Yeah.
Swell.
Well, he thought he was gonna have the plans ready for the April meeting, and his lawyer kind of laughed at him. So.
I wouldn't vote to continue it if we do that. I think you should just
So
restart it.
then you're gonna vote to deny it, then, right?
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that my head was stapled on straight tonight, and that what I told you was true. I just have an email from him at 5 minutes to 6 that says, I'm hitting the traffic for requesting a continue for next meeting. Please let the board know, members know I will be a little late for the hearing.
So he's on his way.
Yes, I guess.
Next.
This is what we gave him, the neighbors' concerns.
Thank you.
I would move to continue only with the understanding that the full list of concerns are not represented in the Norwood Engineering letter.
The full list of these concerns.
No, the Norwood Engineering letter that Dave,
The Dave's letter.
there's other issues I see beyond
There's
just
lots
what's
of issues. Dave's-
elocuted in there.
Yeah.
For instance, the street-facing side of the building has no architectural design to it, which is against our bylaws.
Oh.
For example,
If you look at the floor plans,
Yeah.
we wouldn't want to be in those units, there's no windows on the ends, it's
Yeah.
weird.
I think they forgot one.
So your motion is to continue?
To continue,
Can I ask the board what their feeling is of the entrance exit off of West Chapel Street?
I'm not
sure
real
why it's
thrilled
needed.
about it.
I mean, that's up to them
Well,
to make
I-
that.
Yeah.
Only I would say, because that was a pretty big change.
Yeah.
And if that's not something the board is in love with, then maybe that should be communicated to him
I mean, that's just
before
my,
he moves forward with these plans.
that's just my opinion. What do the rest of you folks think about the entrance off of Chapel Street?
I don't know why it's needed,
Yeah, sure.
but probably just ease, but
Right, I like that, I don't think I do anything, I like that they left that clump of trees next to the street. But yeah, actually, it's kind of hard to say, the plan they showed here, I thought it looked like the driveway was 100 feet wide. Like, it was just a weird scale that they drew it at. And I kept looking, it's 20 feet, 20 feet looks huge.
The driveway is one of our biggest concerns. Like, anyone that knows that area, the traffic because of Avalon and then the 18 with the daycare and everything, like, it's really bad there.
well, anybody who tries to take a left out of those roads is just dumb.
Yeah.
But
There's
by
no
putting
need
a
for it.
one-way off of 18 and a two-way off of West Chapel, you're basically steering all of the traffic from that building onto West Chapel, which currently wouldn't doesn't see that traffic now. And then by doing that also, you're promoting the on-street parking on West Chapel because you have an inlet to the building.
Yeah.
So,
No, that wouldn't be allowed because it's too close to the turn. You're taking the turn in and you're right there.
well, that's where they park all their construction vehicles, and there's almost been a couple of accidents there.
So, I guess, good to know that. Can we let the building
Oh,
department know?
I'll tell you that, the day they had the meeting, the on-site meeting, when somebody had told me that was happening, and I was actually on 18 when they were having that meeting, and I didn't think anybody was gonna be able to turn down West Chapel Street, because all these cars were parked along the side of the road. And that was the thought I had, is that you're not gonna get a fire truck or an ambulance, or maybe even a large SUV down the road that day, because it was so
something I
crowded.
have heard with the original plans that the fire department said that they do not have a turning radius onto West Chapel. I saw in his plans that he did put the fire truck, but it looks like in the plans, they say that West Chapel is like 40 feet wide. If that's like a basic measurement for a side street, that street is 22, 25 max.
That's the
Why?
easement, that's the easement from Burley.
Oh, okay. So I don't know what numbers he's basing. It's just that street is extremely narrow.
Can I just, I've had a few complaints that they can't hear us during our meeting, so if someone wants to talk. they can.
Yeah, please, if you have more
I've
comments,
had a
could you
few
please
people
come up?
complain to me about they can't hear us.
So, just a note on something, this isn't good, but at some point, something will be built there. I don't know what. I doubt it'll be a single family. But the issue is that no matter what's built there is going to appear higher than it really is because of that drop off that comes there. And I can tell you that I know for a fact, I'm on Orange Street. There's a single story garage up on Bedford Street that is higher than my house, and I have a light shining in my house just because of that drop down. No matter what's built, it's going to seem big. There's a 3-story family at the top of Orange and Route 18. And it looks higher than it is, again, because it drops off 20 feet over the course of this. So anything that's gonna be built there is going to seem higher. So we can't guarantee you necessarily that nothing is going to tower over the neighborhood because that's just the topography. But I'm at least committed to saying that whatever's built there is going to look nice and fit. So just kind of setting the stage for how I look at it.
Yeah,
So, Rick made a motion to continue, I guess I'll second it.
okay, so the motion's been made to continue the hearing and to next month? Want to go to July?
Do you think they'll have all these changes done?
I think we should continue it until September. Because they need an awful lot of changes to this. I hate to have you folks out, but if you read, David, if you could see this letter from Norwood Engineering, there's an awful lot of concerns that need to be addressed. And,
And what about, do you want me to say anything about the entrance exit on West Chapel or not?
yeah, I would,
I mean, only because
Yes.
stuff has gone on before and it keeps going and going and going and like, and then finally at the end, it's like, oh, wait a minute, we don't like that. So if they could address it in this time frame that they're gonna have.
Well, I think we should set that they find another way, not off Chapel. So I think
Okay.
that's pretty easy to do.
I'm gonna go out there with, I used to do traffic counting work and stuff. I've still got my measuring wheel. I think I
So you
should go,
don't-
I think I should go
Well,
out
it
to
doesn't
Chapel
work.
Street and measure the width of the road.
So the plan that we have in front of us right now shows one-way access into.
From Route
the
18,
proposed from Route 18.
Yeah.
And then.
there's an entrance
and
exit on
West
West
Chapel.
Chapel.
West Chapel. So if you say you don't like the West Chapel proposal, then you're back to entrance and exit
On
onto
18.
18.
Which I think the original plan was. No, I don't know, it's been several versions, but I think that might have been the original.
Well, traffic's bad on 18, but I think it would adversely affect Chapel Street with that entrance onto Chapel Street. You know, I think that some issues need to be done with Avalon and stuff like that on 18 too, but that's not up for discussion tonight.
No.
But I know what it's like to get through traffic. Traffic backs up from that light way up the street all the time, and people trying to get out of Adelon and Chestnut and stuff like that, so it's a bad deal.
So is the board, no inlet, no inlet outlet, no outlet? What's your thoughts? I want to be as clear as possible with him.
No outline.
No outlet?
No outlet on the street.
So you guys saying just make it happen from Route 18 or just no outlet?
From Route 18, but don't forget about them coming off West Chapel. to go
Well,
to
you're saying outlet now, and they're gonna put an inlet there, so make it happen off of Route 18.
Yeah.
So nothing on West Chapel, period? Okay.
That's my preferred choice.
Okay, I can pass
So
that along.
you've got that?
Yeah.
And any other, well, no, the concerns have been addressed in
Well,
David's
obviously,
letter.
yeah.
In David's letter. So the motion's been made to continue this until September, and it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so voted. Hopefully by September, everyone will be here, the component, and the issues addressed in this letter will be addressed. And we're still gonna work with these people, so hopefully something will happen positively.
So if anybody wants to reach out in August, I'm not quite sure what the filing deadline is, but you're happy to come up and look at the plans and see what they've come up with. All right? Or if you want a copy of Dave's letter, whatever, give me a ring or an email and I'll be happy to send it to you. All right? You're welcome.
Thank you.
Can I just ask the question? How many times can it get continued? Because I feel like we've been doing this for 3 years.
No.
I mean, I'm being honest.
Technically forever.
Okay.
We
That's all I
kind
need.
of, except when we lose our patience.
Thank you.
6:20, we want to do a preliminary sketch plan for 155 Birch.
So you guys should have had those in your last packet. I'm not sure if everybody brought them.
Previous is here.
Hmm?
The previous one is here.
Oh, hi. So, if you guys want to start, I'll take them outside.
Did anyone bring that?
What are we talking about?
155 Birch Street?
Oh, strong point.
Kevin, do you have that? Yes, sir.
This was last month, I wasn't here.
Mhm.
Throw the large one up in the middle.
Well, we'll give Liz a few minutes.
Oh,
Do we have an extra large one? No, but I can give you this at the end of the hearing if that's.
Great.
You guys want it in front of you?
Well, we gotta have it so that we can see it, people can see it, and television can see it. So that's a tough deal, but yeah, that's good.
Then there.
Okay. If you could identify yourself and,
Sure.
please.
Good evening, my name is Dana Altabello with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors. I'm here with the applicants Sean Reynolds and Mike Bruno. The project is The project is located at 155 Birch Street, which is right at the intersection of Monroe Street. The project backs up, the rear property line backs up with the railroad behind it and is located on the southerly side of Birch Street. The lot is comprised of approximately 3.57 acres. Approximately 3 acres of that is considered upland. The property has 51 feet of frontage along Birch Street, which provides access to a large upland area to the rear of the property, which is presently undeveloped. Excuse me, the lot is generally flat throughout. It kind of slopes to a low area in the middle here, which is comprised of bordering vegetated wetlands. These wetlands have been flagged by Brad Holmes Environmental Consulting and Restoration in April of 2022. The BVW is shown here in blue, and then the buffer zones associated with the BVW is shown in green throughout the site. The lot is located within the high-density residential R20 zoning district, and we have performed soils testing throughout the project area, and we encountered nothing but good sandy material in that area, which is helpful for future drainage and site design, et cetera. The applicants just wanted to meet with the board to review a conceptual 3-lot subdivision, which is shown on this plan. Access to the subdivision would be through that 51-foot access off of Birch Street. The new roadway would be classified as a local street. It would be less than 300 feet in length. Let's see, since we don't meet the 1/3 density standards, the pavement width would be set at 22 feet. And there would be a 5-foot wide sidewalk along the easterly side of the subdivision, which would wrap around, and then we'd cross back over to get back out to Birch Street. We have shown a conventional cul-de-sac here, but if the board would prefer, we could look at alternative turnarounds that meet the minimum turning radius of the emergency vehicles in town, et cetera. All the proposed lots have a minimum of 20,000 square feet of upland area. And we have shown dwellings on each one of them with a minimum of 1,500 square foot footprint. The the house on lot 3 has been settled just outside of the 35-foot no-build zone from the bordering vegetated wetlands. We have noted that there would be some relief necessary. The applicants just wanted to meet with the board to discuss the relief, one of which from the rules and regulations.
I'm very sorry, I can't hear a word you're saying.
I'll try to get it out.
Will it work?
Microphone doesn't amplify in the room.
Yeah, that's for the TV. I'll try to speak.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, I'm sorry.
I'll try to do a little better.
You want to come sit up here?
Sir, could you
One of those
please
seats up
move
front?
up?
So the applicants just wanted to discuss some potential relief from the planning board rules and regulations. One of which would be if the planning board would be willing to waive the requirement for curb roundings, roundings of the property line at the curb access to Birch Street. Currently, it comes out square with Birch Street, so that they would just be looking for some relief from section 200-14C of the planning board rules and regulations. And the other item would be to measure the frontage along the cul-de-sac using the outer radius of the cul-de-sac itself, similar to the zoning board requirements or the end of the cul-de-sac requirements for measuring the frontage. I think that's pretty much it. We have, as I mentioned, we have done soils testing throughout the site. We've looked at a couple locations. This would be a pretty good area for stormwater. It's a little bit lower. We have good soils here, and then the other alternative might be back here in this area. Either way, we'd be kind of managing and maintaining the existing drainage patterns on the site.
I have a question, because this was the project where, there was not your project, there was another project proposed with several buildings down there. The biggest thing that sank that project was that the water table was at grade, and they were gonna have to build this huge mound to put down in the corner to distribute the water. Oh, actually, it was the sewage, I think. I can't remember. But other than that,
Yeah.
they had to do something that was built way higher than the grade. But you're saying the test pits showed sandy and it's draining?
It was good sandy soil. The water table varied between 30 inches to 66 or 70 or so. So the water table is closer, obviously, over as you're closer to the wetlands. And as you get away from that, I think it was actually the soils in this area were pretty poor as well. But as we get back into the site where the lots and the stormwater would be in this area, we had perk rates of 2 to 5 inches, I think. Minutes per inch, which is very good. It was coarse sand. Water table varied, but it would be coming up, but it would be a little less noticeable with single-family dwellings as opposed. I think you're speaking to it was like a 12-unit building which that's going to look a little more obvious because you're building up in front of the entire 12 units to get everything in the grade. This will be just 3 lots where you're building up maybe a little bit around the foundations, and then it slopes off a little bit quicker.
I'm gonna ask you, is there any water on the site now that will be corrected? Now that if you go in there, usually the neighbors always have something to do with the water, I'm sure they can tell you themselves. But when you get into that preliminary, when you get beyond this stage, that's one thing we want you to really look at, is how to handle any water that is currently bothering the neighbors from that property.
Okay.
If there's any. They can tell, they can tell you that. Water's the biggest issue in this whole town, that's the thing that always comes
Yeah.
before us, is that my basement's flooded.
Water and traffic.
If I may,
Sure. Oh,
Sean Reynolds, the applicant. One of the reasons I bought the property is because I started my young career in this town with one sump I've never worked, now I'm up to 2 full time. So that's a primo interest to me, and again, it borders 60 condo units on the other side. And so it's wetlands, and I wanted to make sure the past proposals have, and what you saw, have wanted to build on the wetlands. In fact, someone suggested, a lawyer from the town, an underground retention pond. Anyone? So that's why I have a high interest in the property. That's why I purchased it, because I don't want anything on the wetlands. I want the wetlands. So this is not a wetlands project. It will be, let's maintain, I'm gonna get them engineered and looked at so I can make sure they're draining properly, because they drain all the way to the Griffin's Dairy. And so I want it to flow as it should. And right now I feel it's backed up in the middle. But that's, thank you so much.
thank you. Liz, Kevin, do you guys have any comments on this?
No, I just want to remind the board that this is a sketch plan. So you can make comment, you don't have to make comment. It's completely up to the board members.
Didn't we approve a subdivision plan for this in the end?
So yes, the board previously approved not only a subdivision plan, but a site plan. I think the subdivision plan was 3 or 4 houses.
That was the last thing.
The condos were the last thing.
No, the subdivision was the last thing, wasn't it?
No, the condos were. So the subdivision was first because they filed it to preserve their rights when we were changing the zoning down there. And then they did the condos after that.
Is there a chance I could address the board?
Yeah, 1 second. So I did email council because I received some correspondence from the Greeno family about some court filings, and I haven't heard anything back from town council. So I wish I had something to offer you, but I
That doesn't
don't.
stop them from doing a subdivision plan, right?
Well, it may, because it's an
They can do
adverse,
whatever they want
Well-
prior to.
But there's ownership challenge.
it's an adverse possession claim. So that's all, I mean, that's all I don't have anything from town council to help you guys out with that.
Any other comments on the board?
Where is the edge of the paved trail on that back line?
I think it's generally in this area, we have the kind of walking paths showing these 2 parallel lines right here.
Okay,
That's what you're referring to. So it's somewhat centered within this.
okay, but the right of way or whatever it would be considered at this point is the black line. But that's not the edge of the rail trail, that's the edge of whatever the right of way or whatever it
That's
is.
correct. That's the edge of the easement, and then these 2 lines in the middle.
Does the town own that now? Liz, do you know if the town owns that land now?
What, the rail trail?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if the town owns it or that, or if the rail, the MBTA, for lack of a better word,
They lease it for $1 for 100 years.
Who's they?
The town.
does.
from the MBTA, right?
Yeah.
Hope that's not coming out of my taxes.
Just yours.
27.
Didn't you look at your tax bill? Said the Jeff special tax, $1.
Well, we've heard from board members. And I think we could open it up now to neighbors' comments on this at all. Would you like to come forward, sir?
Yeah. Aris Simularis, I'm at 149 Bird Street. Property is right here. Actually, I want to address the board. I do apologize, but I'm a bit confused because the last time we were here, we were going for a variance
49 feet to get the frontage for what this gentleman wanted to build initially, and it was denied, and I think he applied a lawsuit against the town as far as denying him on that frontage. Is this a completely different change of plan, which would require a different frontage on the property onto on the street, onto Birch Street? Or are we on the same position here? Because I'm wondering here, is this hearing just to look at the drawing, or is it here to line up to ask for a variance for relief from the lineal footage that you need for frontage?
But we're just considering a preliminary sketch right now,
It's
so.
just a preliminary sketch plan, and the variance that you're referring to was part of a zoning board hearing. So the planning board had approved the plan, and the variance needed to come from the zoning board of appeals. So they're the ones who denied it, and I'm not sure if it's that specific case or another case, but I know that there is currently a court case with the zoning board of appeal and this property.
First possession there.
No, separate thing, there's, I believe, that
Yeah, I
you're
believe
you're
that-
still,
I believe
you're
that-
still in court with the town, or well, with the zoning board of appeals, right?
Mr. Chairman, again, I've had complaints from people at home, they can't hear us, and if he's standing in front of the microphone, it doesn't work.
Just told me the microphone doesn't work on the
It
side
works
over
for the
there.
TV, doesn't work for the,
Okay.
it works
All
for
right.
the, it's being recorded.
All I need is a little direction.
Yeah.
I've had complaints from people.
Okay, so
They can't
is
hear
it-
us, I'm sorry.
So that gentleman is standing in front of that?
I know.
Same thing?
So,
So it doesn't apply to him, applies to me? I'm curious to know, because I just want
it
to work
applies
with
to
it.
everybody?
I want to work
That
with it.
guy kept turning the microphone towards him, and you keep turning it away from you.
Okay, I want to know because I want to do it correctly.
I'm just.
Okay, thank you
I'm
very
not
much.
trying to-
Yep. Sorry about that. So this is just strictly, you're just reviewing what's being,
Concept.
Concept. It's a concept right now, sir.
okay. So nothing can be done, we can't decide on anything because of the
No.
the court case and the claim. So why are we here?
Well, just to get our thoughts.
The applicant has the right, under the subdivision control laws, to request the board to review a sketch plan
Yeah.
and
Okay.
provide feedback.
Okay, that could or could not happen, all depending on the outcome of the zoning board lawsuit and the adverse possession claim. Okay,
This happens all the time. People come before the board, before they go to the trouble of, doing the plan, the formal plans and stuff like that, to ask us our opinions
okay.
on this, stuff. And that's what we're here for
Okay,
tonight.
all right, it seems like a cart before a horse type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. I apologize for any,
Quickly.
Sorry, just to follow up on some of his questions. As far as when you do
Name and
review
address,
Sir,
please.
name and address, please.
sorry, new to this. John Canal, 181 Birch Street. So as far as when you do review this, I mean, it was not mentioned, but one of the biggest issues that the neighborhood has with this is, one, the water. Two, the road will actually be roughly 8 feet from an individual's house. Right, that's detrimental to the individual's home, the home value, their lifestyle. So I guess, long way of getting to, is that kind of reviewed and looked at when you all approve the site plan?
It's part of the,
Okay.
it's part of the algorithm.
Part of it. Yeah, so I just wanted to point it out, obviously it's very close. That's a huge issue. And then obviously there's a few other issues that we've had with Mr. Reynolds as well. So, we haven't really enjoyed this experience. It hasn't been very pleasant for us. So we just want to bring that up, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else make some comments? Anything from Liz and Kevin?
No, I did go get the actual definition of what you guys are doing tonight, so there'll be zero question.
Yeah.
If I may just identify one particular issue.
Please. Again, come,
So, yes, this was first brought in front of the zoning meeting, yes. Courts operate over here, towns operate over here. So there is an appeal. And part of that appeal is that you talk with the attorneys. I, being attorney myself, I talked with town council, and town council felt that this was the best venue to bring the development of this area in front of. And so that's why we're here.
Town council didn't say that to me, and I have emailed her twice, and that
She said it
was
to
not
the
a
court.
response either time.
Okay. She said it to the court twice that, you know, and our last continuance was based on us bringing it to the planning meeting. I'd certainly provide you with those if you need them.
Okay, well,
So,
I mean, I can email her tomorrow.
if you would,
Yep.
she knows. So, again, it's not that she's endorsing this process, and I understand that, but that's in essence the town's position in front of the court is, well, it doesn't satisfy zoning, so it needs to be over planning. Again, the neighbors have a lot of history with this property. It began whenever there was 33 proposed units for this area, right on wetlands with the underground retaining pond. They've worked very well. I worked with them as well. Some are looking to make sure it's not developed, and that's not the American way. Again, it's zoned as residential, and I'm just looking to put it in as residential. We have gone from 12 condos, as you guys have seen, and I am just offering 3 homes. One of them, of course, for my son-in-law and his wife and new baby. That's all this is a proposal to bring homes into an area that can be built on and support the town of Abington as well as beautifying it. And so I appreciate the audience to this matter. I appreciate the ability of taking this new map to you with the 3 homes, and I hope that you will see the benefit of it. Thank you.
To, further clarify while we're here, I'm going to read something here. The planning board action on preliminary subdivision plans. Planning board will meet with the applicant to discuss the proposed plan and any modifications or corrections to the preliminary plan. The board may also visit and inspect the property proposed for subdivision under the provisions of section 81CC of chapter 41 of the general laws as amended. Furthermore, the planning board will notify the applicant as well as all abutters to the proposed preliminary sketch showing less information required for a preliminary plan may be submitted by the applicant for an informal review and comments from the board. Such preliminary sketch will not have the status of a preliminary plan, and the comments or the recommendations of the board shall be conditioned on the extent of information shown on the sketch. Applicants are urged to submit any preliminary sketches in order to obtain the board's comments regarding the overall layout and location of proposed streets in future subdivision, thus avoiding the expense and delays necessitated by changes in the definitive plan if submitted without such preliminary review. So this is why we're here. This is what is laid out in the subdivision rules and regulations and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Any further comments?
Question, so there were a couple of prior submissions, subdivision, site plan review. Did those precede the stormwater rules and regs?
Yes.
Okay, so whatever we're talking about now would have to conform to
Yep.
what's now in place for stormwater.
Everything has to comply with our current stormwater, yep.
Yeah, obviously, it's very preliminary. Our engineers haven't seen it.
Yeah, I guess the reason I raise it is just that that's a significant change. Stormwater regulations are a pretty substantial body of regulation right now that was not brought to bear on this, and will have to be.
So the proponent, you guys have received our thoughts and comments on this thing. And again, to the neighbors, this is all preliminary. And Ms. Shea has taken notes and things like that, so the minutes will be available to folks and stuff like that, so. And you've gotten some of our feedback. So, and got some of the feedback from the neighbors and some clarifications and stuff like that, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
Always tell the tech community, but show up the all.
What's that?
When you get a good community, I know each other all show up.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes, please.
I really like your articles.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Are you at 181?
Yes.
No
Could I
worries.
stop by sometime just to see the distance between the lot line and the...
It's, yep, no problem. No.
Thank you very much.
He was opposite the gates.
You're aware I have to keep everything forever. Oh, I'm telling you.
I'm not buying yet. There's potential that it's prices.
Wow. It's brutal, isn't it? Tree killing at its finest.
Really?
You can't take for granted the knowledge that people have.
Great. Thank you so much. No, that's fine. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
I knew it was.
Yeah.
Last week.
We want to do Chain Farm.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure we could go right to you next.
Good evening, everyone.
Name and address, please.
140 Rockland Street, name Lee Mann.
Okay. So Attorney Riley sent an email and asked that, I asked David to prepare a Form L, I believe. Which he did. So he could, post a bond so the covenant could be released. So he gave me a packet of information, including our letters, and you should have Dave Johnson's letter.
Gonna say I don't have a letter from Dave.
You got one, right?
I do not either.
Okay. Yeah, it would have come with your, the second round.
We get a second round?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't get it. I did not get it.
Bruce, if you can give
Probably
that to
sitting
me,
in my
I'll copy
mailbox
it.
tonight. I was gonna say, it's probably sitting in my mailbox.
It's lying in the chicken coop.
Did anybody get it?
I got it.
That's good.
Lynn just called me. I said, geez, I have Dave's letter right in front of me.
Mail.
So just so that you know, that as soon as I get my mail in the morning, I read it, especially something from the town of Abington.
It's repetition like this, because the mail goes to Brockton before it gets
I
there.
work on weekends, so
Yeah, makes no
Monday is
sense.
usually my recovery time.
That's our federal
Well,
government.
what's amazing is that I get it one day after you.
Last Monday, I worked till 3 in the morning.
You got a
Weekend. And then showed up for the Memorial Day ceremonies. 4 hours of sleep.
I go pick up checks now. Yeah, I'll drive there.
And I saw my friend Mr. Rick over there at the Memorial Day ceremonies.
I didn't go this year. You were at the ceremonies?
Well, Christy Colburn, that was her sermon in church that Sunday, so I got a preliminary view of what her comments were going to be. But it was great. It's a very solemn ceremony. I think it was good.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, you have one?
Yep.
You have one?
I have one, thank you.
Jeff? Yes.
No. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Magic number or something.
So we're reviewing this letter that we got from David.
The Form L,
Mm-hmm.
which is what the construction cost estimate, performance guarantee amount would be if he wants to have lots released.
204,000.
Yeah.
We need a motion.
Seems fair.
Yes, we don't have a covenant to vote to release tonight, but you plan to do that for July?
I'm sorry?
Plan to get the covenant ready for July?
Okay.
Because I think you guys are okay with that amount. Yeah, so they'll,
Yeah, you sent me a letter last fall regarding changing it to the house numbers instead of being the chain farm path.
I didn't, the assessor's office did,
Assessors are
yeah.
due to the fire department so they could locate it better.
Yes, so I think they want all of them to be a Rockland Street address?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
I think you'll need to do that to comply with,
That needs to be changed then?
I believe so, yeah.
Because I already have the sign up there.
So, I mean, that's up to you guys, but I mean, it's a private road,
Yes.
but if, I mean, I would do what the fire department wants you to do.
Okay.
Um,
Which I already have that up there, so.
That it's Shane Farm Path.
I didn't, I have the sign up there with all the addresses with the, what they sent me over.
Oh, the Rockland Street addresses. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that should be good. I
Okay.
think,
Or do I have to change something else for
well,
that?
I think if you just have your attorney send us a letter
Okay,
asking to remove the Chain Farm Path
Okay.
Road from the subdivision, you guys can address that.
To the addresses. I thought.
Yeah, in brief, the assessor's office in conjunction with the fire department decided that those dwellings should have a Rockland Street address. I think probably to make it easier for the 911 system.
correct, yes.
So that would be a quick vote of the board if they were in favor of doing something like that, to remove Chain Farm Path from the road name and just make it like Rockland Street Extension with
Okay.
those addresses. I will consult with the assessor's office as to what they would like to see on
Okay.
the plan.
Okay,
So we'll all be happy.
sure.
But if 204,000 is okay with you guys and they can prepare for a covenant release for you guys to sign next month. And so is there the plan on file?
There should be. If not, I can get you another one.
Yeah, no, I'm sure I have it. Yeah. Yeah, so these lots are already covenanted. And then he'll put up a bond. I did talk to Sean about what we need to do to get that accomplished
Okay,
earlier today.
Sure.
So that shouldn't be a problem. I'll work with him this week
okay,
to get that information for your bank.
okay,
And then you can get a covenant prepared
okay.
and submitted for our July meeting. We meet July 1st.
July 1st?
Yeah. So if you get it to me before then,
Okay,
so I can include it in their packet and send it to council to make sure everything's okay.
I'm supposed to be away, but Sean can show up, so.
Can you remind me what happens if this surety is violated if the road doesn't get constructed.
Do I have to? Because that brings back nightmares for me.
Yeah, because we can't go on a private road.
So we did. Mayflower, he walked away from the project and the town ended up finishing the road.
Okay, but that was intended to be a public road. This is
I'm not even sure that it was. We actually had to adopt the road so we could go in and make the improvements.
Right.
So I assume something, and I never want to use that word,
Okay.
but I believe something probably similar would happen if that. he
We're supposed to
doesn't
have
finish
it
the road.
done by 11/05/2025,
Okay.
and it will be done.
But it's
Alright.
not, it's not tied to building occupancy or anything.
The covenant recites no occupancy of lot 2 or 3 can be allowed until either an adequate roadway is in place or the bond has been posted, so the covenant can be released.
So if we have a bond, you can get a vote.
He can get occupancy.
Okay. And otherwise, I'm just going through the process because it's been a couple different ways. I don't think he's gonna break his word.
No, and this is starting out as a private way. Everybody's clear on that it's gonna be a private way. I'm not sure that it was that clear with Mayflower. And at the
Right.
end of the day, he walked away.
Right.
We gave him a lot of time to come back and do it, and he didn't. So on the advice of council, we took the road and then went in and did the work.
Hypothetically, if this doesn't get built as supposed to, we could take the road as well.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But then a lot of the conditions that we approved are based on the fact that this is a
Right.
private road.
Right?
So, okay.
It gets very tricky. So please build the road.
No, we don't.
I hate driving through dust.
Right? All right, so yeah, if you want to get that stuff together and get it, have Sean get it back to me
Okay.
sometime within the next 3 weeks or so.
Okay.
We can get that all prepared for the July meeting and these guys can vote on the release of
On
covenant.
this too? July or tonight, they're gonna vote on this?
They agreed that the 204,000 is sufficient.
Okay.
So now we just need to do the paperwork to follow up with that.
Okay,
Get the covenant prepared,
okay,
or the covenant release prepared.
okay.
And then you get the surety on your end, you'll get the surety ready. And then,
Okay.
all
Thank
right,
you.
okay,
Have a good night.
thanks.
All right.
Oh, so while we're here, if I could have you guys sign for our friends at the Registry of Deeds. Road trip tomorrow. Kevin's all excited we get to go to the registry.
Lucky you.
Isn't that in Rockland?
It is, it is. It's a quick road trip.
I hate to keep popping on the microphone, but I've had a few people complain. to me.
No, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, we're not used to this thing. But I mean, these are portable. I wonder if we can get a portable mic.
And we're doubly protected because there's another recorder down there that they can fill in the gaps if they're missing. All right. La, 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 la. All right, what do we got next? Do you want to do minute approvals?
Let's do the minutes.
All right.
Kevin and I had a discussion about the April minutes. I'm smiling.
Head of the game. I know, we never were, so I get the confusion.
That's odd, how come my middle initial is not on him?
Do you want your middle initial
No,
on
I
it?
signed it that way. I don't care.
That's odd.
My license has got to spell it out now, but the real ID.
Oh, yeah, all the documents I get from the state spell out my middle name and everything else, crazy. Anyways.
So I'll tell you a funny story. We went to get our passports and we filled out all the paperwork and of course includes your middle name. And I wrote my name and then Joe wrote his name and the woman who was doing the form said, "Is your middle name Middle?" I'm like, "Joe, it's not." All right.
Let's take a look at the minutes.
March 18th, I was not here. That's one you're gonna do first.
Yep. And I think we cleared up what was the language?
I wasn't here, and apparently Jeff wasn't here.
Correct.
Which one first?
Yeah,
March 18th.
Jeff and I were here.
Motion to approve when everyone's ready.
Second,
Second.
motion made. This is for March 18th.
Yep.
Motion made and seconded for approval of March 18th minutes. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
can't say
So no Bob and no Jeff, right?
Nobody.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. 5-6.
May 6 minutes.
Motion to approve, and everybody's ready.
I hear a second.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the May 6, 2024 meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good.
Thank you, gentlemen. If you would, I don't have a copy of the zoning board of appeals agenda. I'm not getting them anymore. I'll talk to the office that's doing them and ask that we get a copy.
Do we have any correspondences?
We do not. We have the adopting the policy to name the streets after Purple Heart recipients. So I drafted a policy. I had Andrew look it over.
Don't wanna.
Who's Andrew?
Andrew, sorry, Adam Gunn.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, I had the town accountant look it over. He says it's good.
I don't want to muddy up the waters too much. I was just wondering if it would be possible to expand this a smidge and leave it open also to any women who have served of distinction. Because women basically weren't allowed to serve in combat until 15 years ago. But there's still a lot of women who have served in the military with distinction, and I don't necessarily feel like we should be excluding them in favor of.
I am not gonna be the person to disagree with that, as I had an aunt who did serve in World War II. But I guess how would you,
It gets a little trickier.
so how would we qualify them, I guess is,
I would,
yes.
yeah,
We would.
Would have Adam qualify them?
yeah.
Okay,
And there must be some level of award or recognition that would make it a service of distinction, essentially. I don't know what it would be. Not skilled enough in all the various honors and medals and,
Yeah,
Fine.
again, we could defer to Adam on that.
Yeah.
Even though
all right. If, so we can put this off till July and expand it. Or we can vote it tonight and then, why don't we just put it off,
Sure.
right?
I don't think there's any urgency to this being done tonight.
No, unless somebody comes in with a subdivision and they need a road name,
We'll be here anyways.
Right.
We'll be back.
We know how long that approval takes.
right? Say, hold off on that road till,
I haven't seen one yet that was done in a couple of months.
no.
No.
All right, so we'll put that on the July event agenda and ask Adam for his assistance.
And I guess do you really have to have specific names to adopt a policy? You really don't, right?
No, I just thought that's,
Yep.
and they're still going through the list too, so he has said there's gonna be more to be added that he
But it's
already
more of a
knows about.
policy that-
Yeah. We
and It's
did,
gotta be up to him to,
to provide the list,
Yeah.
it's just that at the end of the day, I was the only one with the list for years now for the KIAs, and, so I,
that started back with Sarge.
right, So I wanted this to be like more than one person holding the names.
Yeah.
When I see you guys stop writing, I will go on to the next thing, which will be
Okay.
peer review engineer.
All right, so I have to say Kevin did a yeoman's job reaching out to all the surrounding communities to see who they used for peer engineer reviewers. He spent a lot of time on it, put a spreadsheet together. And then at your request, I spoke with Dave to see who he would recommend, and I immediately sent you an email so I wouldn't forget. So his recommendation was Larry Silva from Silva Engineering. I spoke with Larry, Kevin spoke with Larry. If that's your wish, we can go along with that. If not, we can go back and
Where are they located?
He's on 18 in Bridgewater.
Bridgewater,
Oh, okay.
although he's converting space for an office at home. I'm like, well, lucky you. So, very knowledgeable. Dave couldn't say enough.
And he's come before us before, too.
He has, Silva Engineering has been before the board before,
Dave put down some pretty big shoes.
right?
Yeah.
So, is there an entourage, I guess, that goes along with it? Like with Dave, I mean, is basically the spokesperson when he comes here, there's a whole engineering part of it behind it. I don't know enough about Larry.
Right, so he is an engineer,
Yeah,
and he
right.
has other office staff
Good.
that, because I did talk to him about the stormwater, and I said, you know, we have all these new stormwater regulations that have to be adhered to. And I think actually it was Sean Riley who told me that he had somebody in the office who was really bright, that he had used them for something. Not quite sure, don't hold me to that, but I thought it was Sean that told me that as well.
But Larry's very experienced. He's done an awful lot of work in this area.
Yeah.
And he's a nice guy from what I understand. too.
And I think, do you remember, have they done a lot of, not climate resiliency, but kind of almost along the lines of work for conservation, so they're familiar with wetlands and stormwater and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I think that's been a
That's
big
what they
part of their practice.
So I guess
Yeah.
that was my thought,
Yeah.
for a better word, is an entourage.
Yeah.
And all around,
Yeah, and I believe he is.
and are we gonna just have one?
It's up to you guys. We talked to a bunch of different people, or Kevin did actually.
Some other good people too.
What about, you know, the guy in David's office? We talked about that we were happy with David, the firm that he worked with. Did you talk to those people at all?
I don't think we did because we
From Nor-
waited to hear from Dave,
Norwood Engineering?
and he didn't say anything.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, we just.
Right, I get you.
Some things unsaid,
Okay.
I mean, we can come up with a second list of people if you guys want to talk about that in July. I mean, the more the merrier,
I
right?
don't have a problem with him, but I don't wanna close all.
You know, it would, Liz, you know, it'd be nice to invite him to the July meeting.
Who, Larry?
Yes.
Okay, I can do that.
That would be cool, if you
Yeah.
can make a presentation, we can ask the questions.
Yeah, before we make a final decision, I think
Okay.
if it's a consensus that we like Larry as David's successor, I think it'd be great for him to come.
Through you, Kevin, did you come across someone that you thought might be, other than Dave's recommendation?
So I have a spreadsheet in my office. Of course, I don't remember the exact names of the firms.
Right.
But I remember talking to some people that wasn't just Larry, that sounded like pretty good as well. I just don't know the differences in the rates
Right.
that they charge. That was something that I was kind of charged with looking at as well. So if one's just like
I would imagine.
really expensive, there's just, or if one does better with stormwater and does better with other things,
That's the hard part, is to find somebody that's an all-around. I know Larry has a lot of experience. Stormwater, the new stormwater something.
Right.
I can uncover that a spreadsheet and send it.
Send along. Was there an engineer that you know to service more than one town?
Yes,
Yeah, they want the spreadsheet.
they're
Yeah.
on the spreadsheet. I can send you all the spreadsheet if you
All
want.
right, cool.
Yeah, you know what? Can you throw that in the mail to them tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, write yourself a note to do that, and then you guys will have that to look at. And if somebody pops out at you guys, let us know, and we'll maybe invite them, or, give them a call and see what more we can work out with them. I agree with you, it's better to have two than to have one.
Yeah, and goes a long ways with Dave's recommendation.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and to be clear, we're not entering into contractual agreement of any kind, right?
No,
This is just to decide that this is who we'd like to do business with.
Right,
So we
we-
start sending work their way.
yeah, we did that
and
with
then
PMP.
We can change our mind.
Again, at one point I was sending them to 3 different
Yeah.
facilities, so,
The point is that there's no contractual obligations that would
No.
preclude us from changing direction
No.
or changing our mind at some point in the future.
Right.
And when we come to a formal conclusion with our business with David, I think we should do a nice letter, recommendations and stuff like that.
all right,
Because
sounds
who
good.
knows, he may decide to do this in his retirement.
He'll come right back here.
I think it's all done. He's been.
Yeah, I think he's all done.
If that's the case, then he's still our guy.
Well, they've got a house in
He
Maine.
deserved to be done.
Yeah,
He's a year older than I am.
So he's old.
He's really old. Okay, discussion regarding design guidelines as it relates to the MBTA communities. Got anything?
gonna let Kevin take this.
Kevin?
He's done all the heavy lifting.
So I said, you guys have had the Cape Cod multifamily housing design guidelines, building typologies for Cape Cod. I think for maybe 2 meetings now, or you may not have had that before. But yeah, you should have gotten that. And I also talked to the planner in Brookline. He was speaking about design and facade in Brookline and how that is all shaping up and like design standards there. I know we're kind of a little unlike Brookline, but we were on the same call with Mass Housing Partnership, and he was speaking about that. He was like a keynote speaker there. And I just asked him for some materials because the planning board was trying to work on some design guidelines for Abington. So he sent me the material that you should have all gotten in the mail too, on design review, like section 6.5. I think you should have gotten that in the mail as well. Straight out of Brookline's website. And yeah, so.
Well, thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, so I think the goal of this is we don't want to be the architecture police, but we definitely want to make sure that as, the push to develop what little of Abington is left to develop, that it's an asset, I think, to the community. And too often, especially in other towns, we see that architecture really isn't at the forefront. And unfortunately, the reason why that's important to Abington is because then Abington gets lumped in with what other communities are doing or not doing. So, because another community decides architectural standards don't matter or anything flies, they assume that that's what will be built in Abington. So I think it's nice and good and appropriate to have some sort of guidelines that we can point to and say, no, this is what we expect. There's been a couple situations where we weren't specific enough and it came back to bite us. And I think we're wisening up on the fact that maybe we need to be a little bit more specific in terms of expectations. So,
Yeah, he spoke more in the context of historic preservation.
yeah,
And in the lack of, in making sure it's not dilapidated,
yeah,
Town centers are not dilapidated.
we're well past that.
And historic preservation districts. He was speaking in the context of historic
Yeah.
preservation districts, and that's how the design guidelines of their
Yeah.
town were brought up. And then people started asking questions about design guidelines in relation to their town, and that's how.
Yeah, I don't think an architectural review would fly very well, and I think there's been pressure in the past to not do a historic district in this town, although I think,
Actually,
I
I think
think-
the Historical Commission is working on an
Yeah.
inventory and maybe furthering down are looking at creating a district.
I think there should be like a light version where, it's not like Hingham where, they judge what paint you can
Paint
your
colors
house.
and,
But I think people would be very disappointed if, some of that style wasn't protected and we lost some of the historical character in some of the roads in this town.
so I wanted to ask the board if we're gonna talk about this and enact it, if we wanna do it throughout the town. I know we're only talking about MBTA communities right now.
Well, that was one of the questions that I had. Are we talking only about?
Well, I think that's how this conversation started, is because that's,
With
right, but,
the guidelines pertaining to the MFOD.
Yep.
And I wasn't, I guess at this stage of the game, it's a fair assumption that there'll be more multifamily built than
Yeah.
residential
Yeah.
at this point. So certainly, a large part of our focus is on multifamily, because that's probably where we need to be most
Right.
careful about what's going up. But I wasn't entirely clear if this was a broader discussion than just MFOD.
so that's what I guess I wanna talk to
Yeah.
you guys about, if this is something you wanna
I mean, I guess it should be.
poke away at over the summer and then maybe include it for next year. I don't know if it needs to be a zoning adoption or if we can update, well, if it's site plan, it is a zoning adoption because site plan's under the zoning bylaw.
So the current zoning gives a kind of a vague expectation of New England style architecture that fits in the general feel of the community. I think it would be helpful to further define that a little bit. I guess my question is, I don't know at what point it's how far you can go without really needing something more concrete in the zoning bylaws.
So when we go back to the zoning change we made for the multifamily overlay,
Yeah.
that particular section used the word guidelines.
It does, yeah.
And I think that's an important distinction, that guidelines aren't standards or
Yeah.
requirements. So I mean, the wording of what we adopted suggests that we're putting things down. This is what we would like to see.
So at a minimum, we need it for that district.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd be interested in a larger, to apply to the larger community. And I think, how set that goes, it can be up for discussion, but I think it would be helpful to be able to say to developers, these are the kind of things that we appreciate and look for when we go into design, so that we're not getting square, modern, aluminum,
You're looking more.
Or somebody building a split
commercial.
level house,
both.
somebody building a split level house in a neighborhood that it wasn't appropriate for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we can't outlaw necessarily that type of construction and, single family, but if you're coming before here for special permits and variances and everything else, then I think that becomes part of the conversation. And I think it's helpful to be able to say, this is just, it's super, super helpful. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but it's super helpful to be able to say, this is kind of the things we think look nice, or the book that the Union Point folks had. And I think one other thing it does is it also helps residents understand this is what it can look like. We're not talking some of the things you see elsewhere,
Right,
but, you know, if we work with a developer, it can look very nice and be an asset.
Right.
Like, you know, I don't see anyone complaining about the woodlands at this point.
right. Or Avana or whatever. I
Yeah.
can't keep up with the name changes down there.
Even some of the small, like Steve Gosling's,
Yep.
that kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Steve seems to build nice looking building.
Do you think we want like a forum or something for residents to actually speak on this subject?
Yeah, I'm sorry,
Well,
I feel like I'm dominating. I don't.
To have
need
like a hand, do you think we want to like have like something publicly accessible for residents and they can come in and speak about this?
Yeah, I think that was the response that I sent back earlier today. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but just, it looks like the only occasion when that kind of feedback was requested and received was when the master plan was being done in 2019.
Mhm.
And just reading that section, I think it alluded to the fact that there were 12 or 15 people in the room. So it's hardly a town consensus.
The first one we did was pretty well attended, if I remember right. I felt it was maybe 30. It was at the seminar room at the high school, and I think we had a pretty good crowd. It's a pretty good one.
Oh, yeah, that was when we were updating the master plan. I knew, I was like, when do we do that?
Yeah.
That, and it was over there.
Um,
So
I
we
think
do actually have a traveling whiteboard. MVP 2.0 purchased one for us to do some community work. So we could use that for that too. Put pictures up and have maybe people go up and vote for them or
Yeah,
whatever.
I think it'd be helpful to have something they can react to. If you just go in and say, what do you want buildings to look like?
Right. No, it's
all over
easier
the
to
place.
have a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how the master plan review session was done. I think they put different ideas or illustrations up, and people voted yea or nay based on what they were seeing.
What is a traveling whiteboard?
So it's the big whiteboard with the markers, but it's on wheels.
So you just roll it around?
Yes, the traveling whiteboard. No. No, and I have 9,000 different color sticky notes and.
It moves by itself, just.
I just came from Vegas, so there was an awful lot of that.
So we plan on, Kevin's gonna go over to the library and spend some time over there, getting feedback on climate resiliency. From people, I'm going to the Grove, I'm going to the Brazilian Church.
Are you gonna do anything next weekend at the town thing?
Yes, I won't be there, but one of our
Celebrates?
committee members will be there and have some pamphlets and one of our students is gonna do a survey among her own peer group, so things are moving along fabulously there, but.
Great. Well, I wish I didn't have to work weekends, so I could go to more having to celebrate.
Maybe the target is to have something for Oktoberfest. And
Okay.
Be out there for that.
All right, so Oktoberfest? I'll get a sign-up sheet for you guys now.
Which gets back to the email I sent around about sending some examples around
Yep.
town. Happy to start to pull those together. Kevin, do you know if there's like bigger versions of some of these photos?
I can try and make them bigger.
I think if you.
Oh, did you
download
make
just the
this?
picture-
If I could just download the picture
Oh, okay.
and then,
Explode it a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's super, I mean, this stuff is great.
If you put that on the thumb drive. maybe
Greg, could you
we can
elaborate a
put
little more on
down
what you were just saying about?
The lookbook?
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
on it.
So I think it's very much in line with what we're talking about, which is some sort of document that we can email out, have a physical copy of, that people coming in to do developments can get a sense of what we think works well in the community. So for instance, the Old Town Shopping Center across from the fire station, you know, I think that's an example of something that people put a good amount of care into. And it's been a strong, I forget what was even there beforehand. Was it houses?
That was my first commission.
A bunch of
Was it?
houses.
Was that you?
Yeah, it was Fitzgerald built that building.
Yeah, it was a house there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, two at the end of the day,
A couple of the places over on Brockton Avenue for commercial buildings, I think are really,
like that medical building.
the medical building,
Yeah.
the landscaping place next to it.
Fiore's did that.
Fiore's
Yep.
did that.
The new medical building near Building Pontiac, the small one. Yeah.
Yeah. The little new neighborhood that Mr. LaPointe built, where the old factory was.
Oh, down by Valplex,
Volplex,
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that turned
Bates
out
Street, yep,
nicely.
the duplexes.
Yeah. As we mentioned, Woodlands.
Woodlands,
These are examples of what we think look nice, what
Yep.
work and maintain character. And I wouldn't suggest having these don't work, but we certainly can have a thumbs down section too if we really want to. But
so if you guys want to send those addresses or what you're interested in, and then if you can get them back to us, we can work that into
yeah.
a presentation.
So we have a homework assignment, guys.
Yep.
Thank you, Rick.
And again, it's as simple as send me some addresses and I'll drive around and take photos.
All right, and then you can send them to us and we can, so we'll start on this and maybe have some kind of draft in July and
Yeah.
then firm it all up for September, so you'd be ready to go live in
Yep.
October, if that sounds like a good timeline. All right,
Moving on to the next discussion regarding the progress of economic development and affordable housing master plan components.
Is this mislabeled? It says progress against objective, and then the things down below don't really. fit the
so,
category.
when Rick Shepherd first came on the board, he wanted to know what kind of progress we were making against the objectives laid out in the master plan. And as you know, that I never had time to get to that, but now that Kevin's here, that's sort of been his poking away at assignment. And then we've spent, we set aside time so I could answer questions he didn't know. We could look at things together, stuff like that. So he's updated a lot of it, and we wanted to present to you guys what the updates were.
No, I was just wondering what, no, it's just that like progress against objective. And so it sounds like marijuana retail business attract via zoning changes is a bad thing.
Progress in support of, you mean?
No,
No,
it's,
it says progress
Oh.
against objective.
yeah, so it's how
Should
much,
say
here's the
progress in
objective
I can't
and
guess.
progress against
Oh,
the
it should-
objective.
It's a different way of saying it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or progress versus
It's
objective.
a corporate ease. I've seen it.
I can change
Yeah.
the wording to make it more clear.
Well, thank you for putting this chart together.
Yeah, this is great.
It needs to be
This is what I
progress
had in mind,
toward.
Kevin,
Yeah.
is that we begin to try and create this kind of
Yeah.
running
Mhm.
progress checklist.
I was
And-
thinking of doing like a section for each month or two sections, depending on how many people are coming before the board each night. And how much stuff was in each part of the master plan.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
So there'd be enough time for discussion.
Yeah,
So,
if we start this now, there will be enough time.
Well, and then, on the other hand too, these will be so helpful when we go to update the plan in a couple of years, right? Because we're gonna have to start that
Yes.
probably in '27. So
Yeah,
it'll be
that's what I'm
done
saying.
by
If we waited until
2029.
then to start an exercise like
Right.
this, we'd be scrambling.
Right, right, so,
I think the select board may have an increased interest in some of these as well. Considering the upcoming tax issues that we're going to be having. And I think there's a renewed focus on trying to build up the commercial tax base. So, they may want to also take part in some of these activities, or at least discuss them.
right, we'll be happy to send over his updates. So at least they know where we are in the master plan objectives.
Does Scott do an update of departments to the selectmen? I was curious.
No, I think he updates them generally.
Mhm.
Because
I was just wondering if planning would be included in an update that the selectmen would get.
It kind of is when we're doing stuff that I work with him on.
Mhm.
He will kind of update them on that. I don't attend the meeting, so I'm not quite sure 100%.
Kevin, can I ask you a question? Thinking back to your previous tenure in Boston, is there a resource that commercial developers, when they're looking to figure out where to site a new project, that they turn to see what's available for land or what, or I assume there isn't a magazine with, advertisements in it that says, build here. So how do commercial developers know what sites are available?
So a lot of it is zoning based. A lot of them want to build in the TOD districts, and don't want to. They don't want to build in the inclusionary zoning districts. It's mostly about where they want to build. It's mostly where the zoning code favors them and where it doesn't favor them. There are a lot of, in Boston, there are some desirable things going on though right now. This is less, I was more involved in residential, but it was more like accessory dwelling units. It was very, very big when I was starting to leave. That's not something that we're doing, but
I'm thinking more if I'm Brigham and Women's and I need a new medical office building, where do I go find the land for it? Is there a listing of what?
Community land trusts. Those are
Which we don't have.
something we don't have. That's huge in
It's a
Boston.
land bank, land trust.
Okay.
We
And
don't
Liz learned
have
about
one of
that.
those. Yeah, just spent a whole day learning about them.
I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out is how we can, let people know that, hey, we have land in North Abington that we think would be great for your stuff.
So, I mean, I think traditionally up until this point, it's been whoever the owner is
Yeah.
when they're selling it, right? So for instance, we just got a copy of the ad for 207 Bedford Street. And it was all about how it's commercial, 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 or maybe a multifamily. But she ran through what you could do there.
Yeah.
But I think that's traditionally has been how it's been done. I think Jody can help us get, because Jody can do anything, a list of vacant parcels
Yeah.
that would fit the zoning parameters, like highway, commercial, industrial, that kind of thing that you're looking at, Todd.
I'm just trying to think how we can fill that Dolly Levi role of playing matchmaker between.
Well, we could put a list on our website. The problem is keeping that updated becomes an onerous task.
But also then how do you draw eyeballs to that list? It's nice if someone says, I wonder what the town of Abington has, let me go search and find out.
Right.
How do you put that out in front of people to say, hey, I maybe you hadn't thought about Abington, but maybe you should?
We can reach out to our regional planning agency. I think they have a list on there. But ours is Brockton, not MAPC.
Sure.
We could share the list with MAPC.
Well, I'll tell you, when I worked for Old Colony, we had several towns do lists of industrial sites. And what we did was create a form and like, for example, Easton has one. I think Stoughton has one.
Easton has a fabulous website.
And of course, that's Stephanie Danielson,
Yeah.
who's town planner, who's wonderful. And she's a friend of mine, but we'll hold that against her. But, so towns have this stuff, guys.
Yeah.
So.
They really have more of a economic development. They have a committee.
Yeah, Stephanie is, for example, head of planning and economic development for the town of Easton.
I mean, I feel like the city of Marlboro really has, spent a lot of money putting up neon signs saying, hey, we've got land, come build in our town. But they're also right off 495 interchange.
Right.
And, a little bit different.
I mean, it's where.
I wish it was a magazine we could just put an ad in and say, hey, build in Abington.
Right. Well, I mean, right now,
Well, there is, New England real estate.
there's some issues, right? We have water issues. So it's hard to sell some land when you don't know that you can provide the water for their needs. I mean, that's hopefully not gonna be a forever issue.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to have people getting frustrated with us, right? That they're coming in and they have all these great plans and it's very exciting and we would love to do that, but we can't.
But you can't.
And Boston's a whole different animal.
Right, because they have the
Density- 'cause, like,
MWRA and.
density is so much different there. Like when I was there, we were looking at building on top of libraries, like one-story libraries. I mean, that would never float here. That's just not,
No room.
Depends what they want to build.
Yeah.
That'd be kinda cool.
I just know my short time here, I just know it would not
I
happen.
build a development.
If you want to build 3 floors of senior housing on top of the library, I bet you could get that to fly.
Maybe.
Top of time, you know, stop.
Yeah.
So I will say very quickly, because I don't want to keep everybody, I was at a housing conference last week in Dallas.
Well, this is where we're morphing into the update of the planner.
Right.
So,
It will fly right there quick.
so go right into it.
Um,
So, before we get there, just a couple of
Yep.
things we just discussed. Back when there was a group that was discussing American Recovery Act funding, and I had provided some feedback that here are a number of master plan objectives, short, medium term, that could benefit from some of that funding, and that was turned over to the town manager, and I still don't know to this day if any of that happened, or if any of that is going to happen.
I believe the ARPA money has been spent. That's my understanding.
It's really a shame, because some of
But-
the things that we were talking about were
but-
not big dollar items.
But we did have an earmark, and that we're gonna move forward with for downtown redevelopment. So, we will use those funds to maybe do some of that stuff. We've hired a consultant, to help guide us through the process and get us the highest and best use of that money. Kevin is working on a grant application for a downtown initiative, for funding to whatever we can't do with the earmark money, like, because it's not gonna be enough. We know it's not gonna be enough. But maybe we can get some grant funding to supplement it. So we're looking for different ways as we speak to fund some of these things that we're sort of thinking of. We might be able to use some CPA money for a little of it, like a very tiny bit. So I guess not all is lost. And we are gonna do something about that, because we have that earmark money.
Okay. So that sounds like it falls into the category of something that would be part of a periodic update. There are things that are
Yep.
going on.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as we get the
that
ball,
would be
like,
good for us to know about.
absolutely. We're having a kickoff meeting when, in July?
July.
Yeah, so I wanted to be able to tell you something before. I mean, we had a very brief
Well, just knowing that
Zoom
there's a-
meeting with the
Just
consultant.
knowing that there's a kickoff meeting in
Yes,
July and
all
there's a
right.
consultant involved.
Yep, there's a
Is helpful
consultant has
information.
been engaged.
Okay, well, that's
A
good.
contract has been signed. So, yeah, so we're feet first in that. And she's gonna go over different scenarios of what she thinks will be beneficial and based on what we talked about.
Okay.
And the town manager is front and center on that too.
Okay.
It's a goal he has. It's a master plan goal he,
Are there, in the contract that's signed with the consultant, are there objectives or specific deliverables in that contract?
there are, I don't remember what they are off the top of my head.
Okay, can we see that, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I can find it. All right.
And then the other thing was the Christmas tree shop land. Did I understand that was purchased?
It's my understanding it sold for $6 million.
That it was sold.
Say this again?
That the Christmas place and the pool place were sold for $6 million.
Do we know who?
But I think there's still a sign up there, so
There's
I'm
still
not
a sign
sure.
up there, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard nothing. I had multiple people come in, meet with Scott and I, meet with me. So I don't know who bought it.
Yeah.
Kind of
Talk
wondering if
about a piece of land.
And speaking of things like this, the old Bemis Drug is being turned into a,
Beauty salon bar, right?
right, which is interesting.
Yep.
It's good to see
Yeah,
the beauty
someplace
salon
for us to
bar.
go.
And there's something else is gonna be in there. That's one space. I think there's two spaces that they're using for commercial and they're still doing the residential on top. So that configuration stays the same.
Well,
Any update on the status of Railroad Avenue?
The building inspector was out there today. That's all I know because he came up to ask me a question and
Am I seeing it right? Did they put strapping on the side of the building to hold the siding in place?
I don't know, maybe. I honest to God, I haven't been down there.
Okay, I
To nail this, yeah.
want to make sure that's what I was seeing.
The siding's been blown off.
Yeah. I was asked about that at the Memorial Day ceremony, and I said, I'll get back to you as soon as I hear anything.
I know there's a high level of frustration with her lack of action, the owner of the building.
But you said she's still paying property taxes.
She is still paying property taxes.
No word if it's actively for sale or in process?
Nope. What I heard today was that they have been levied a multitude of fines for the siding blowing off, for the sprinkler system, like all that stuff that's been going on for years, and they are now appealing the fines. So that's what I got today, that, you know, that they're still paying their taxes and not doing the construction. So,
Anything else in your updates, Liz?
nope, just that, I was at that housing conference, and one example they gave of reuse that I thought was very familiar was that they took an old fire station. Actually, they asked a fire chief if he wanted a new fire station, and he said, if you can get me a new fire station, you can do whatever you want. And they put 3 stories of housing on top of a new fire station. And I went, well, we have an old fire station that might be vacant pretty soon. So I was like, that might not be a bad idea for that. But
Okay. Any other business to come before the board tonight?
I had a question, I can't remember what it is.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Motion seconded?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching.